Hello and welcome to another session of Blades in the Dark. My name is Lowell, pronouns he, him. I like saying that because it pisses some people off. And then I like to remind people that it pisses some people off, and I love your salty tears. So we are about to do a score that we've kind of set up that is connected to a number of our characters' stories and goals and so on, where we are going essentially to our architect musical collegium of magic. And we're going to talk about that. But we do have a crew advancement that the characters got, and there were a few suggestions. And Gwen in the notes, uh, I'll grab these last copy message, these last three from the suggestions that Annie made uh, there. I want to see if anybody has strong feelings about those things that you uh like particularly. Annie, did you have you did the hard labor of narrowing it down, which I appreciate. But do you have any strong attachments?
Not really. I like all three of those. The ghostly objects and such is just cool and does tie into our world building. The communication over a distance could tie in with maybe some of our gadgetry or some of our planning. So yeah, whatever people think.
Okay. So Kakito, do you have a preference between two and three?
I guess it just depends on what we want to see more of. We haven't really done, I don't think, a ton with either yet. I don't think we've
Okay.
done a lot with teamwork with gang members, but we also haven't done a lot with ghostly stuff.
Well,
Um,
let me ask your mastermind, your planner person now. Of these two, which would you lean towards for the job you're about to take on?
Um, I kind of have an idea for the how to do the teamwork one.
Okay.
And I say that as by way of saying we should go with the ghostly stuff because because I have an idea that might cover the second option, the
Okay. That that seems fair. So what do you think has occurred that allow, is this some illicit serum that you've gotten? Is it something from the Bayou biohackers? Is it a device? Like, what do you think the community of your crew has done to gain this ability to interact with sort of spiritual, magical things? Uh, Ian?
can I'd like to pitch uh that this capacity has come about um maybe in coincidence with the growth of this strange biological material in our hideout.
I
I kind of like the idea that it's like not something we necessarily sought out, but that is just kind of happening to us.
We're infected.
I like that. Are folks good with that?
yeah.
Okay. So it has arisen over time, which means it probably also affects the rest of your gang and the uh, crew that you have, your shadows are also experiencing this. I imagine that one of the effects of that has been that we've talked about in the lower city, there is sort of the constant dealing with the miasma and the smoke and things like that. But you have also now like there's a whole different color of color of magic, of spirits and things like that is around and about. I think that you all can identify when things have been imbued with an aura. You can immediately tell when an object has been animated. You can probably pick out zombies when they're walking around trying to keep themselves kind of below the radar. Um, uh, for Svetlana, what what does your aura look like now? Is it color? Is it a feel? Is it a vibe? Is it an appearance? What do you think that is that the others see?
I think two things. One, when I think that with disability, when if people choose, if you are okay, if everyone's okay with this, when you look at another person or an object or a place, and you kind of squint and go out of focus, like looking at one of those magic eye things, you can see these auras or whatever. My aura would be purple, but then there's these weird silver streaks in it. And furthermore, when you're concentrating like this and I speak, it sounds like I'm speaking in harmony. Like there's a second voice at a lower register saying exactly the same thing I'm saying. It's my voice, but it just sounds like, like if I recorded myself saying something twice and then that's what it sounds like. There's a weird resonance
I
to it.
Resonance, slight delay, echo in your voice. Okay. Uh, I dig that. So I want to go over again what the score is. You've done some preparations, you've gotten a mask, you've gotten some other resources, you've got things at hand. Uh, you are headed to the Collegium. You have done some preliminary scouting on this. That was something which our Spider did a few sessions ago, sort of returning from an absence. And the Collegium is the place where the essentially the Department of Harmony works and operates out of. It is a building that's in a higher area. Let me give some physical description, just a basic of it, so you have some visualization. We'll build on this as we go along. But this is built as sort of a main building. The sort of center hub of it is our kind of inner sanctum. And that's built on a more vertical, kind of towering but wide ancient building that has been repurposed for that. We talked about the ruins of the past city. So this is one of those buildings. And then sections and wings and things have been built out from that. It is not a campus. It is an enclosed, large scale building that covers a bunch of different levels and a bunch of different space. The main sanctum is a more secured area, where the important people's offices are, but certain relics and things are kept there as well. But off from that, most immediately are essentially professors' offices. There's probably even more vaults. There are the trial rooms, which are both used for testing, but we also know, given something that has been told to us by Remy, that some of those rooms are used for putting mages through some really unpleasant things, exploiting them potentially, and so on. Uh, there's probably also a private concert hall that's off of that main hub. And then the building goes out from there. I imagine that because this is a school of sort of harmony and architects, there is constant building and reconstruction going on in different areas that make it so it's spidering out. But also, there's a real concern to getting every room to sound right, with the right echo, with the right carry of voice, with the right note, all of those kinds of things. So those are elements that are there. Imagine that a lot of the spaces are very tall, uh, higher vaults, possibly with walkways around the outside of upper levels or walkways to cross open space, things like that, possibly with objects dangled to create sound buffering or changing or so on. Um, Remy, what's another feature of this school that we want to have on the table just in the back of our minds or in our visualization of it? this huge place?
Um, I think they have tried to make it appear very open and airy, even though it's this very complex interwoven space. That they've done their best to give that impression, maybe assisted by some illusion. But there are little nooks, little passageways that it is definitely possible to move around unseen.
Okay. And for uh, Lee Arthur, what's another thing that caught your eye in your, arrival at the ball and moving around the areas and so on that you've kept in the back of your mind as something to be remembering and aware of?
I think that there are a lot of like ornamental terraces, kind of wide balconies with yeah, decorative plants, trailing vines. I'm imagining the whole place with the kind of like hanging gardens
Hmm.
sort of energy. Um, and a lot of like very well placed trellises that could be climbed up. Uh,
Okay.
something like that.
Okay. Outside trellises, things like that to carry for the heights. I like that. Kagato, what's another thing about this giant facility?
Hmm. Have we said anything about the people occupying it yet?
No, we know that it is an operating school. That I mean, it's both for research and training, so it has a grad program, and a lot of undergrads, uh, probably an age appropriate segments there in a kind of uh, a dormitory setup.
Would it be appropriate to say that like we show up right as some kind of major social event is kind of kicking off with the students?
What is the social event that is going on right now that can serve as a kind of cover?
Um, what do people think? I'm thinking either it's kind of start of the academic term, a lot of people moving in, kind of like a move-in day thing, or we could also do like if it's evening, maybe like there is like a large party going on.
I was
Um,
kind of picturing towards the end of term, just thinking some of Remy's things I might want to do would take advantage of like senior exercises or senior performances. So there could be like an end of year celebration.
That'd be so like a celebration kind of thing, and maybe there are some um, performative. I'm trying to remember what the word would be, not recital, but there's some other kind of word for formal performance I'm thinking of. But something
At,
like that, maybe.
at my university, there was a thing called Antostal, which happened a few weeks before finals and was organized by the students to do, you know, activities in different areas and small concerts and demonstrations and things like that. So something of that sort going on.
Yeah, I think that's a good point of reference.
Okay.
And maybe
Uh,
it gets a little out of hand in some
oh, of
places.
course, of course. Eventually, alcohol comes in and it all goes out the window.
It
Uh,
seems like these students are the rest of the time under quite a lot of pressure. So,
yeah, this is one of the few release valves that the students have throughout the year, and certainly the older students recognize that and take advantage of it, perhaps more even than the younger ones. And Svetlana, what's one more thing we know about this place?
it has a large scriptorium, archive, rare books area full of valuable texts that is mostly underutilized, except for the occasional faculty research purpose.
I like that. Um, One of the reasons being, of course, that magic is passed down mage to mage. We know that it is about tradition of masters and apprentices. Um, Sometimes mage training a host of apprentices, so they can weed out some. So actually studying magical lore and general theory is probably very, very rare, um, because they want authority, they want hierarchy, and
Oh
independence.
yeah, it's not open stacks,
All right.
Yeah.
Uh, so your purpose, your goal right now is you are breaking into the rooms, the chambers of the former headmaster, the late headmaster, uh, Chancellor Throne, who passed away not too long ago. You are to get in, and these offices are in that inner sanctum. You are to get in. You are to open up the safe, the secure area that is in there. You are to remove a particular set of documents, and it is intended that you not leave evidence that these documents have been taken. However, you wish to read that particular statement. Uh, I think as a secondary goal, from Remy's point of view, it's to cause chaos and mayhem with a singular, visible political purpose while you are there, if that seems right. So this feels like we've got two things that we can kind of say for the sort of the approach, the method of entry. Either the group is looking at more of a pass unseen, sneak in, move behind, move in the shadows approach, or the other approach is the blending in, more socially oriented, getting in and around that way approach. So, at risk of putting this out to the table, uh, sense of which one of those you wish to work with.
I mean, Svetlana could easily blend, having come from this sort of background. But you know, she also is happy to break a window and rappel down somewhere, whatever Mission Impossible we do.
What do you
I,
think?
I'm
Oh,
for that.
okay.
I was just gonna say
Yeah.
second.
Second. Lee, are you good with that? No unmute for you.
My unmuting is a little
La
challenging.
Labyrinthine.
Um, yeah, I'm even kind of interested in the idea of like two insertion groups.
Okay. So what are if it's two insertion groups, what are the pairings?
I have a theory. Go ahead, Annie.
My thought was coming back to, yes, we want to cause chaos. Can the breaking and entering group be planting explosives in particular places, which would lean towards Svetlana and Kogita, and Remy can play assistant to the maestro attending this event, and work our way in front through the front door.
Mhm.
I'm into that.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
In which case, we will do two separate engagement roles. So let us start with the sneak in group. Uh, 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 tell me for the sort of the sneak entry for Cogito and Svetlana,
Mhm.
what do you think that point of access, point of entry is that you've got set that's going to allow you to get in? Is it trellises? Is it some kind of underground passages? Is it construction? Is it something else?
Well, we have established in the fiction that there are conveniently ladder-like trellises. So you could use those. Did you have
Okay.
something more exciting, David?
Not on my end, no. So are we thinking come in from above and climb down or go up from the bottom?
I mean, we have this awesome ship. We might as well fly into the roof again. That would be my
Yeah.
first, because the
Okay.
first thing that came to my mind was something ridiculous, which is like, I don't know, sliding down a book return chute or something.
Yeah. Uh, we start with a die. This definitely feels bold or daring.
Hmm.
Um, I do think that this is a major place. You've got two operations going that you're trying to coordinate. You don't have communications between the two groups necessarily immediately. So I'm going to take away that die I just gave you. However, you have chosen a detail, a thing that this place has, offered as an opportunity. So we'll give you a die for that. Uh, I don't think we had friends or contacts providing aid.
Could we have our shadows?
Oh, yeah. No, we'll give you the shadows.
Since they're not being used right now,
Yeah,
they could,
we'll give you them. We'll spend them on this to give you that extra die. The enemies or rivals that are interfering, we'll just put them off to the side. They're in a little box over here right now. So just remember that. Uh, so this is a higher tier target. So that's going to be, let me just check on the crew sheet, make sure. Okay. Um, I am going to say it's a higher tier target, but one of the things is you are resisting the occupation in some ways. So I'm going to give you an extra die for that ability that you have of escape, just because we haven't seen that in play, and I want to show that it is has some worth. So you have three dice for your approach roll, for your uh, engagement roll. So Kagito, would you like to roll me three dice?
Okay, here we go. 6 is high.
Six is high. See, I was thinking because I didn't want Gwen to roll because Gwen rolls too well, and yet we still end up with a six. We'll come back to
oh,
that. Let me put a
you should
little,
see my roles in other games.
yeah.
Oh no.
We're going to put a pin in that six, that success there. Let's come to the social organizers. We have Remy and Lee coming in on the ground floor. How is it that you are staging, presenting yourselves? Are you, fellow students? Are you alumni? Are you officials? Like, what is the sort of the point of entry here?
I went to all this trouble of getting a weird mask. I think the son of the recently passed uh master of the school is a pretty good, as good as any invitation.
That seems fair. That seems fair. Are you good with that, Remy?
Remy, are
Yep.
you my protege? Are you my page of some kind? Like,
I'm your aide. I'm picturing, we haven't discussed load yet, but I'm picturing Remy is just carrying like the big carrier document bags that you have to have all of your documents and your resources at hand. And so Remy is there to be quiet and handy things.
So, Remy, are you taking yourself at conspicuous or discreet for your load?
Um, do you think that I can do that? Can I call it conspicuous but make it look like something that like I described with the document bags, or is that
Well,
not
nope.
in the
It
spirit
is
of
it
it.
is discreet or conspicuous.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, I'll stick with discreet then. I won't blow the plan.
Okay. Don't forget that you have the extra bonus from your crew abilities, meaning that you can take extra armor. So you have armor on top of whatever else you've got there. And I assume discreet for you as well, Lee?
Yes.
Okay. Uh, so this operation is particularly bold and daring, but as I said before, two groups moving in shadows, moving out in the open, trying to coordinate this. So we're still at one die then. I think that we do have a vulnerability here. You've definitely established that. So we go up to two dice. And you've also managed to get your essentially your friends and contacts to aid you in this. So that's three dice. And uh, this is a higher tier target, so I'm going to take away a die. But then I will give you one for that base ability. So you're rolling with three dice. There's almost no chance you could fail. Who would like to roll between the two of you?
Um, the the esteemed Jewel Throne never does the dirty work of rolling dice. So please, henchman, uh,
Little nod of the head. Let's see, not
A
as good.
four.
Four.
So mixed success there. So when we come in to you, Kagito, and Svetlana, you have made your way in. You're not in the inner sanctum. You are in those chambers that surround it. Those buildings that are nearby, including the scriptorium and the vaults and things like that. Uh, and this is an area that is less traveled in terms of people, especially during these sort of celebrations. There are fewer people in the halls, and there definitely is some security. And you find yourselves in the first of your targets. Like, and what is that? What is the first place that you want to plant your explosives?
The scriptorium.
Okay. So you've made your way to the scriptorium. This is the most accessible of those places. Uh, but I think that you definitely have seen that there are guardians out and about in the halls around the inner chamber. There are both some magical folk, but you've also seen what appear to be some animated objects. In particular, you have heard the scraping and seen several large mechanical segmented snakes that seem to be powered by magic that move along and have a particular disorientation to them because they do slither along the walls and the ceiling. They are louder than is strictly necessary when they scrape along there. So you found yourself in the scriptorum. Cogito. Uh, were you raised around books, do you think? Do you have any memory of that? Like, what's your sense of this when you get into a place here?
Deja vu. I mean, I think of myself as coming from a wealthy, educated upbringing. Um, but the specific layout of any given place, I really couldn't tell you. But the smell, scent is kind of that sense that's really closely tied to memory, and it takes you right back in a really powerful way.
Absolutely. Um, Tell me, Svetlana, uh, as you're moving around here, seeing all these books, there's a lot of Drylander tomes and magical texts and treaties and things like that. But you will also see, and maybe a little bit to your surprise, that clearly a decent cache of how do I put this? Confiscated Downlander, Wetlander books are also in here.
Damn.
And what's the difference? How do you immediately know that that this is also a thing?
The Wetlander books are made with a waxed vellum so that they resist the damp,
Hmm.
and the Drylander books are made of parchment, so they are actually more prone to mildew and things. And that's just a artifact of their origins. But like, there's a whole section, and Svetlana's like, her heart sinks a little bit. She looks down in her bag at the firebomb she was planning to plant in here, and she goes, I'd have to think outside the box on this one. And is going to tinker and make a change, I think, if she can. I don't
Okay,
know. You need a roll for that.
then let's start with this action. You are uh I don't think this is risky yet because you had that six on your roll, so you're in a controlled situation. But standard effect, what is it you want to do with your tinkering?
I would like to change this bomb to do something that could easily harm the Drylander books, but not so easily harm the Wetlander books. So maybe like instead of making just fire that would just rip through this place, it's going to make something like scorching smoke, and the dry paper of the parchment will easily catch on fire, but the waxy vellum, which if you've ever held that stuff, it's actually very, very thin sheets of like leather almost. It
Hmm.
doesn't, it's not nearly as flammable. And so this would destroy a lot of the Drylander books, but few of the Wetlander books.
Okay. I think this is a tough ask. But you're in a controlled situation. Modest effect,
Hmm.
lesser effect. Now, if you have gear that you think would appropriate, you could mark that to raise the effect level up.
I think I have demolition tools,
Okay.
so I will mark that.
Okay.
And of course, I've got my tinkering tools as well.
Okay. So just mark your demolition tools as being used. And
Okay.
remember, only mark when you use them.
Hmm.
Uh, So standard effect, controlled situation. Let's have you roll with your tinker.
I also have the artificer ability when I craft a creation. Does this have spark craft features?
Uh, yeah, I'll give you the result level up.
The artificer? Okay, and I'm rolling how many dice then? My tinker, which is two?
Your two dice.
Okay. Ding ding. A five plus one
Five.
level.
Okay. So that will go to a six. So you've got it. You're spending time building this. You've got some space to do that. Kagato, what are you doing as Svetlana is getting this put together?
There are no snakes on us at this point, right? They're in the vicinity, but we haven't been targeted at this time.
Correct. You've managed to avoid them with your entryway through the trellises and then some back passages. You probably, with your vision, were able to see some hidden doors and things that were, mage only, and make your way into here.
Okay. Um, so I mean, I wonder if there might be, I don't know.
Do you want to try and reduce the overall security? Do you want to try and clear the path to your next target?
Yeah, I was thinking of like maybe like would a distraction be useful at this point, or would that draw more attention than it's worth? What do you think, Svetlana?
A distraction? I mean, I kind of thought that the we need a distraction from the bomb.
Right.
But I mean, I thought the bomb was the distraction. Am I wrong? Because
No,
like
no,
our
no.
goal isn't to destroy the library. Our goal was to. What do you think? Can you explain
Well,
more what you mean?
I just mean a distraction that draws people away from perhaps discovering the bomb. But if we're already good on that, um, Then there's
Right
really
now,
no need for it.
the challenge that you have is that you want to place these bombs in a few places. And so from here, you're going to move to some other locations, which means the other guards, potentially clearing space, that kind of thing.
So maybe we
Ah, I
want to do a
gotcha.
good job of
Yeah.
hiding this one so that in the interim, yeah, or as Annie suggested, the path from here to the next place could be something that we try to clear.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe let me scope out the path to the next
Yeah.
place that we need to get to.
All right.
And just do some recon because I'm good at that. I can sneak and prowl from, until the cows come home. I'm good on that.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. Let's have you roll with prowl.
Okay.
Again, it's your first roll. You're coming out of a good engagement roll, so you are in a controlled situation. Standard effect.
Okay. I get 2 dice to
Yeah,
just so I'm fine with that. I think we'll just go with two. That should give me
absolutely.
something.
Yeah,
Double fives.
double fives. Uh, so I think you will definitely see that uh, there there are some gaps in the way that these snakes move. I think you'll also realize that clearly you'll see a couple of like not guards but scholar people here. They must have something, either an enchantment on them or an object on them, because the snakes don't stop them, don't interfere. They do,
Right.
snakes approach them when they see the movement, but then clearly you can see them register who they are and keep moving on by. Does that seem like fair information?
Yeah, I'll make a biological comparison. I'll basically say so the snakes are the white blood cells and they detect the scholars as their own so they don't target them, but we're foreign invaders, we're viral. And I'll just say something like that in character.
Yes,
I like it.
that's appropriate for Cogito, I think.
Yeah.
So we're going to cut from that to Lee and Remy. Remy, this is both very familiar and very off-putting. You said you left pretty early, so like I don't know, if do you think that your character was here long enough to have experienced this kind of celebratory party?
No, I don't think he
Okay.
was. I think he has heard of it. There was a lot of tell the newbie all the wild stories from previous years, but things blew up before he had even finished his first term.
So there are these various great rooms, huge, long, high rooms with different, like, in some ways, I'm imagining the classic club celebrations from Japanese high school animes in different places, the different things set up. Uh, Remy, these kids have no idea what they're in for. They have no idea what's coming. And the ones that do, the older ones that do know it, are still partying like they don't care. They they are dancing and there's songs. There are adults moving around through here and so on. And Lee, you've got this mask on. Again, you have an hour with this mask, right?
And
Uh,
I'm not supposed to get it wet.
and you're not supposed to get it wet. So I think that uh, with that approach roll, you're kind of in a risky situation because it does take you a little bit longer than you would have liked to kind of get inside, and are kind of moving through the crowds here. Uh, and how are you two planning on from here getting to the inner sanctum? Are you going to schmooze your way there? Are you going to use the standard walking routes? What is the play from this moment forward with the two of you?
Uh, Partly because I think it would be fun to watch Remy squirm a little bit. Uh, Jules gonna glad hand a bit.
Okay.
There are student exhibitions going on, and Jewel is Jewel Throne is of course very involved with the Collegium, um, and so he's going to observe in a sort of detached, imperious way,
Sure.
and make comments to the faculty, who of course we already had the chance to meet some of a little while ago.
So you do know names? Yeah, absolutely. That feels like consort.
I think that's appropriate. Yeah. Um, okay, so I'm rolling with two dice here. Uh, the the mask at first, when putting it on, I think Remy, you could hear there was like a little gasp as whatever it is in the mask like took hold. Um, but now that it's on, it's like pretty easy, actually.
Barely an inconvenience.
Little itchy.
Yeah. I think Remy, you would have seen a little reaction to that, like a little bit of discomfort, but once it's on, it's more almost a greedy look. Like that's powerful. That can do things. And then he settles into character where he is trying for the very controlled, these people value control, so that this is perfect poker face. Maybe it slants a little bit on the grim side, but very, yes, maestro, of course, maestro, stay perfectly in character.
Hey, I'm gonna roll with two dice. Um, would you like to assist me here, Remy, by playing the part of the um the yes man?
Of course, maestro, whatever you need.
Mark a stress and three dice.
Three dice. One, two, three. That's boxcars.
Critical success. I think you will make your way along fairly easily. Um, just gliding through here, making your way towards the inner sanctum. And in fact, uh, there is a moment when you are moving along and you see uh, August there, who will turn to greet you and says, Jewel, I just wanted to pass on my condolences for the passing of your father and your brother. Uh, even lacking the sorceress talent, certainly your family is important and will be recognized in the future.
Gracious August. My sainted father was too good for this world. He was too gentle. He was too lax. I, in a way, I am glad that he doesn't have to see what this place has become in his, um, since he took a looser hold of the reins. And of course, I have been very supportive of your candidacy for master, and that support, of course, will continue. I have great hopes for you, August. I am
It's,
excited. He wouldn't use excited. He says, I'm optimistic about what the Collegium can do under your control.
and he says, I noticed you changed your outfit since earlier in the evening. Did someone spill something on you? Did someone offended by your presence here? I wonder if that is the case. I am going to speak now, Jewel. You are a scum blood dealer. And believe me, I have been polite to you. And you are here present this evening because of your father's reputation. But when I next see you, if it is in these halls, you will be terminated. And by that, in case you did not get me, I will have you killed. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
August, always such a pleasure.
And he will turn away.
Okay, the enemy of my enemy. What?
The enemy of your enemy is also present at the celebrations, you will now know. Remy, you're about to move from here kind of into the inner sanctum, leaving revelry and joy and such in your wake. Are you?
I think Remy has deliberately tunnel vision tuned out the revelry, tuned out the students. He's already tried that route. He's already tried helping, and that backfired badly on him. Helping one by one is not going to work. He's just got to go big here. So he's barely even noticing them. I think where his attention is, he's following this conversation, but also scanning the space, scanning the approaches, looking for what might be hidden here. What illusions do they have in place over something that's going to be a problem?
Okay. So a tune for that?
I think a tune, yeah.
Okay. Let's have you make that roll.
I will I will assist in kind.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Using my foresight. I can assist a teammate without paying stress.
Nice.
All right. So what's 3 dice again? 2 5s.
2 5s. So I think that, and this is more of a gather information roll.
Mhm.
Um, you will realize that there are people here invisible in the outfit of the Bureau of Alignment, the ones who police the mages. And there are more of them than you would have expected. Uh, but I definitely think that you know that they are present. And in fact, as you kind of move towards the inner sanctum, you realize that there's at least one of them patrolling in there on top of the other security measures. Does that seem like fair information?
Um, yeah, one question, and you tell me if this is fair or not.
Please follow up.
Can I see, are they focused on the guests? Are they focused on the faculty? Just general preventing intrusions?
They have some devices that they seem to be generally waving around like they're looking for something or somebody in particular.
Interesting. All right. Um,
Like
I
metal
think
detector things.
Yeah, but it's odd because they're not like blocking a particular area like to scan people going in. They are clearly moving around just on the off chance that they would find something.
like magic detectors or
Yeah, like magic or fragments of spirit or something like that detectors. Could be anything.
interesting. Um, I think until we know more, I'm gonna try to steer us wide of them where possible and find a way to deliver that information.
Okay. Uh let's take our first break here, and we're to continue on with the second chunk of this operation. So let's take 10, and we're going to come back. So I think we have two tasks on our sneaky side here. The first of these is you've built this bomb, and now you want to plan it to go off exactly as you wish it to, with the effects that you want. And then moving to the next area, getting in there. Some legwork has been done on that. So let us start with Svetlana. Um, planting this bomb that you have created, and I think it's reasonable to have you use Tinker again for this.
Cool. So let's see. Tinker is 2. So I just rolled 2 dice, I guess, huh?
Yeah.
What could go wrong? Everything could go wrong. I rolled a 2. That's my high. Well, that's fun.
So I think this is standard effect with risky. So I think there are two possible consequences, and you can decide whether you want to resist one or both, or you want to split up the resisting of that. One of them is going to be that this particular explosive is maybe a little bit easier to spot than you would have liked, just for the positioning that you need to get it in. And the other one is that the fuse is a lot more variable than you wanted when you change this up. So it's a lot more likely to go off earlier than you would have wanted. Svetlana, do you want to resist one, both, none of those?
And resisting would be spending stress and rolling the dice.
Yeah. So in this case, you would roll 3 dice for your insight
Okay.
for that resistance, since that's under the tinker. We could start with one, then you could decide whether you wanted to do the other.
Yeah, let's resist the conspicuousness of the bomb
Okay.
first.
Yeah.
So I will roll 3 dice now to resist, and I have to spend just to roll, just to
Nope.
resist. No,
Nope.
oh, it's only after the roll. Okay,
Yep.
cool. Well, I rolled a 5.
Fine. So you're going to spend 1 stress there.
No problem. I'm like, oh, and you see, Svetlana reaches into her pouch and is like going to town with her pliers to get this thing to stick and fit. All right. Let's see.
Absolutely.
And
then
then I'll try the next one.
timer work. Same thing.
Oh,
3
this
dice.
isn't quite right. This could go off too soon. And I rolled double 6s.
So
Okay,
with the double
perfect.
6s, you get back that stress that you just spent because that was a critical.
Yay, I'll take it. All right.
Yes. Go ahead. All right.
The
Kagito.
disappointment.
Svetlana has locked things in and has gotten the bomb planted there. From here, in terms of locations to create bombing effects, you could make your way into the full inner sanctum, which is the place that Remy and Lee are moving into to do the robbery. You could move to one of the adjacent locations, which are the professor's offices, the vaults, the trial rooms, or the private concert hall.
Let's do professor's offices and move into one of the adjacent locations.
Okay. Then I think I want you to make another prowl roll.
Okay.
And basically, this is about getting in, a good solid location. You're going to make that transit there.
Gotcha. Okay, we're looking at 2 dice then.
Yeah.
Right. Here we go. 5.
5. So, tell me what it looks like when Kagito sneaks and leads along Svetlana? Like what is do you just look like a ninja or do you look inhuman? Like what do we see on screen?
I picture myself as, equipped with a heavy loadout. So it's kind of this um lithe frame, but with this large kind of bulbous hump from all the gear that I'm schlepping around. And I'm kind of creeping using, I think, my wrists and my knees and my hands for movement and support at least as much as my feet. And there's kind of this, I'm thinking about like the anime Akira. They do a lot of, God, it's not lens flare, but whenever like a motorcycle flies by and there's
Yeah.
that
Speed
lingering,
lines.
yeah, you get yeah, I'm thinking like that, but like kind of like a radioactive green color,
Okay.
sort of off of me whenever I am kind of like coming by just these little faint traces of me.
Uh I think that uh like you are moving through here. You will get to the professor's offices. Uh, this is a less secured area. The offices themselves are locked up, but it's easy to move around, and that the adjuncts offices are a little more open, and you can get to there. But I think that uh, there is just like the slightest bit of attention that you draw, like maybe somebody sees an odd light, maybe there's a noise that goes on. And so I'm going to put a 4 segment clock here, which I'm just going to call alert. And I'm going to put one tick on that 4 segment clock, unless you would like to resist that consequence.
I like it. Let's keep it.
Okay, absolutely. So alert 1 of 4. And the bomb is set. The timing is perfect. You two have made your way over into the professor's offices. Like, are you intending to like put the bombs in the faculty lounge or in like one of the bigwigs' offices or down in the more accessible adjunct offices? Just give me a frame here.
What do you think, Svetlana? I was thinking department head, but it's all good.
Yeah, I mean, go big or go home, right? Let's blow up the office of the dead, oh, of the fine gentleman partially occupying my aura.
No, no, because that's the inner sanctum where they're robbing.
Oh, that's the inner sanctum, right? Can't
Yeah.
do that one. All right, yeah, let's go for one of the
Can't do
department
that one
heads.
yet.
Okay.
Yeah, not yet. Maybe, oh,
Okay.
I don't know, this fellow over here whose office is full of alchemical vials. It could be
Okay.
fun.
So
Yeah.
you two are set up there. Meanwhile, let's cut back to Remy and Lee, and you are in a good position. You are sort of outside of the inner sanctum. A little bit of time has passed on that mask. You found out some information. Um, Now it's the more challenging part. It's past a little bit of the social into the moving into the area where they do have guards. They do have these snakes, and potentially they do have these, I don't want to say inquisitors, but inquisitors is what I'm saying, who are around. Um, Remy, how do you want to manage this side of things?
I think at this point, Remy is still mostly deferring to Lee, still staying in character, has been trying to steer us around these invisible inquisitors as much as possible. But if we're coming to a bottleneck, um, trying to think, I think Remy would suggest in whatever, signal system we've come up with, let me go ahead. Let me try to get past them.
Okay. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I have two mute switches, so
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd like to introduce the idea that I had for communication earlier,
Please.
which is that in the lower levels of the city, especially in the sort of industrial parts of the city, we have developed, there has been developed a system of sign language called bog sign, uh, which is designed to be used in the very loud and hectic environments of like a factory. And mostly is designed to be able to be used with only one hand and without looking at the hand that is doing the signing, because you're looking at some kind of industrial piece of equipment, and you're often signing to somebody who is below you. You know, you're up on a gantry or something like this. Um, the drawbacks to bog sign are that you have to have somebody's attention to be able to use it, and the meaning that can be expressed is a little limited because you usually only have the one hand. But
Mhm.
the benefits are that it can be done in a loud environment or an environment that needs to be completely silent, and it can be done pretty covertly because it can be thrown from below the belt. Um, and so Jewel, Lee as Jewel, is seeing this bottleneck that is up ahead of us, is going to turn towards his hapless page, is going to make a show of embarrassing him in front of the maestro, and is generally going to make the kind of scene that people don't really want to look at because it's embarrassing.
Okay.
Mhm.
And from below the belts is going to sign trouble ahead. Ideas?
So I'm going to start with one point here. I'm going to read that as a flashback in the sense that uh like you all know kind of bog standard, but you like went through and did that sort of refresher course kind of thing. Does that seem fair to
Mhm.
I don't think it's something you need to roll for, but Lee, I think I need you to spend two stress.
I I have been I've gotten off scot-free this entire time, so I think it's only fair that I should take some stress.
Absolutely. Uh so Lee, are you assisting Remy in this operation? Are you spending a stress to aid them?
I will,
I mean, as you just said, you've
whatever it
gotten off
is,
scot-free, so
whatever it is that they're doing, I will run interference
okay.
for them.
Uh,
Yeah.
so Marcus Stress, what are you using, Remy? Does this feel like a tune to do the magical detections or something else?
Um,
Prowl?
I think a tune makes sense. Most times it would be a prowl or a sway, but at this point he's trying to almost almost project I'm not important, don't pay attention to me
Absolutely.
to slip by.
So
Um,
you're rolling three dice for that.
mhm. I think he a little bit ago would have signaled, watchers hidden to indicate these inquisitors, so we know that's what's there. And now he's signaled I go to try to get ahead, try to get through theirs. All right, let's see how that goes.
See, both those
Six.
ones, I see them. That's what my mind registers first is the two ones, but then there's a six in the middle.
Uh-huh.
Um, Traitorous
Could have gone
dice.
so bad, but it didn't.
Um, so you two will make your way in. It does require some avoidance of those snakes. You can hear them. There's some physical guards, um, and there there are at least one or two of these inquisitors with these devices kind of wandering around, like, but also clearly a little bored being in here. And tell me, I said as we established this that inner chamber, that like inner sanctum is built on this older construction and stuff. Uh, Lee, what does that look like? Like, what's the difference here with the walls and the halls and the chambers here?
I think that the the Collegium, and in fact the entire like level of the city that this is built on, is like, as we discussed before, the upper city is kind of held up by the buildings of the lower city. They almost form like pillars.
Hmm.
And I'm imagining that somewhere in the kind of substructure of that is an ancient ziggurat of some kind.
Okay.
And this inner sanctum is the very top level of that ziggurat. Of course, it's deep within the school, and the school itself extends, higher up above. But that last, like, the ziggurats on in our world were meant to symbolize uh, the ascent to heaven,
Hmm.
and so that very last step up is forms the basis of this like inner sanctum. So it
And
is
yeah,
it is very old, very kind of like roughly hewn um, stone, uh, uh, in contrast to the more kind of like refined and airy building materials of the upper city. It is very heavy and very kind of um, yeah, it like speaks of a kind of ancient quality out of deep time.
and you will move into, again, everything about the ancients is clearly taller and bigger. So the doorways, the door frames here are taller. And as a like normally everything in the city you go upwards, because you'd like to go upwards. Here going down the intersanctum has required you to kind of descend down. Um, there is that bit in, I think, one of the Thor movies where he like goes down into the chambers where the relics are kept, where that very much a sense of kind of almost subterranean. Uh, and you will find your way through those halls. Uh, there are offices for a couple of the other major important people. There is a guest office certainly present here for the Bureau of Alignment. There's probably an office for the Convergence. Uh, and then the second and third in command of the school will have their own offices. But you come down to the spectacular door for the chancellor. Remy, what does that door look like?
Um, it's it's not stone, it's wood, and it's some of the old like the old heartwood in the bog, some of these just enormous like out of cypress or whatever kind of trees. Um, and it's very intricately carved with there are multiple explanations of what these little scenes and stories represent. Nobody really knows, but it's covered with them.
I think the other thing as you kind of move up on this, you realize how much of a hush there is in these halls. Everything has been made to be acoustically neutral in this to not create additional issues, things like that. And you're at those doors. We'll come back to you two in just a moment. Uh, so you're a little more free to blow the shit out of the professor's offices, Svetlana. You don't have to worry about the books and so on, correct?
100%. I'm sure there's nothing of value.
Okay.
It's being
Um,
awful.
term papers, research
Oh,
projects,
I
and
got a
you're
lot of
also
students
also
that'll be
as you've
very grateful.
decided, you're in the alchemical area where there are a lot of reagents and things stored away in here. Uh, let's have you roll Tinker to set your bomb. Risky standard effect.
What could go wrong? Just two. A six.
It is a six. So you will get the setup. What is the place that you find that is just like you look at it and chef's kiss, this is where the bomb needs to go here.
I think there's two shelves that are all racks of vials and flasks full of liquids. She doesn't know what they are. Maybe some of them are flammable, but they're gonna make a mess and it's gonna be loud with all that glass shattering and ooze mixing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Hey, Kagato, let me ask you a question. When you see your brother walk by with a little entourage of guys out in the hall, what's your reaction to that? He has like three people who definitely look like they know how to use a blade, that kind of thing. And he seems to be moving around, looking around.
Really want to take him hostage or at least get some info out of him. But is it realistic for me to try to take on four people, three people at once? Because my brother probably knows blood magic too, if it's Jewel, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is maybe not a good
Keep in mind that
idea.
Lee is also walking around with his face somewhere.
Okay.
I think it's important to reiterate that I did not tell Kagito about that.
Oh, yeah, no, okay. That's right. I forgot about that. Um, so yeah, your brother, um, he has that look of somebody who maybe doesn't know these hallways very well and is looking, you would guess, for the inner sanctum.
Okay. And just to be clear, me and Svetlana's job is not necessarily to get into the inner sanctum, it's simply to plant these bombs.
I believe that was what was decided. Did you decide that? Like, Mike, you're part of the plan. Maybe you have different ideas.
Well, um, I mean, mine is kind of a revenge slash uncovering my past story, and so I would be remiss not to take advantage of the opportunity to go straight for Jewel. I see him so rarely. Um,
What do you want to do?
um, let me see here what my options kind of look like. I wonder if there's there's no way Jewel is going to separate from all these guys. Um,
So he is him, and there's a small gang,
yeah.
and sort of mechanically for blades, a single person dealing with a small gang that kind of lowers the level of effect. But you can always mark equipment to raise the level of effect. Use those things to make it easier to deal with them. Try to deal with
Got it.
them on their level.
Gotcha. Okay.
A little more space out in this area. Like you've got, again, tall hallways and cross paths and things like that.
Okay. Um, what if I lead with some kind of like alchemical smoke bomb?
So, with the intent of like separating the two groups.
Yeah, or at least making it so that they can't see um me as well if they try to fight back.
Okay, so you get two choices. If your goal is to separate them and split them, that'd be one thing we could roll for. If your
Okay.
intent is to level the playing field, then we'd have you mark and then roll your attack. Which would you like to do?
Um, let's go for a separation.
Okay, uh, so this does feel like Tinker, right?
Um, yeah, I mean it's not really an attack, right?
Right. You're trying to drop this chemical bomb and separate your brother from his goons.
Okay. I'll need to think about what equipment that would be at some point, but for now that's totally fine. We'll roll Tinker, and I'll push myself for this to get an extra die.
Please do.
Um, and that's 2 stress, right? So that takes me to
Yep.
4. Okay, so
But you're
three
rolling
dice,
3 dice.
6.
So you will throw this smoke bomb. Now, I think that it's only fair that I raise the alert level by 1 when you throw that smoke bomb.
Fair.
Does
Yeah,
that seem fair?
that's fair.
But what is it that happens? Like, how do they get separated when the smoke bomb hits?
Um, I think the minute the smoke bomb hits, I'm moving in and essentially going to immediately try to physically engage Jewel,
Okay.
almost like pushing um, or even striking him in order to get him kind of knocked off his balance, staggering backward in
Okay.
the opposite direction.
Absolutely. In the chaos of this, he may not even realize, he probably doesn't realize it's an attack. May I think it's security, and that maybe his guards are pushing him, but like you will push him off separated. I think Svetlana, you turn around and you're about to tell Kagato that you've got it set, and you'll hear the poof out in the hallway as that smoke bomb goes off, and you don't see Kagato. What do you do, Svetlana?
He says audibly, "What the hell?" Um, and then hmm, assesses her environment. So
Okay.
there's the smoke. So
Yeah.
Kogito has disappeared into smoke in front
Yeah.
of her, and she
You,
doesn't know
you hear
why.
coughing of like several people. Like clearly
Okay,
Kagato threw the smoke bomb, and a
right.
number of people got caught in it.
So I think she's going to look for a place to hide. She's like, "Oh, did Kogito throw this to like cover and escape, and we didn't? I and didn't have time to notify me, you know?" So rather than running into the smoke to help, I don't think she just would. I think that's not what she would do because that
Okay.
seems like a bad idea. So she would look around for like a closet or a cubby or an office to step
Absolutely.
into.
You're trying to evade these 3 guards who've gotten separated out from the
Yeah.
smoke and things like that. Sure. Does that feel like prowl for the
I,
hiding?
I mean, sure. I think it's prowl, but I have zero prowl.
Yes. So you'll roll two
I guess
dice
you
and take
do.
the lower.
Okay. And I don't think I have any items I can suddenly have on me that
You
would help.
can spend 2 stress,
I can't.
or to give yourself a die.
So can you tell me what so maybe I can hover over it. It'll tell me. Oh, that's a theatrical makeup kit. No, I was thinking what Sudaffuge supplies are. No, it's not going to help here. Yeah, I'll spend 2 stress.
Okay. Then you're
Um,
rolling 1 die flat.
oh yeah, that what could go wrong? I'm about to find out. I I'm
I
sorry,
do
Lowell.
not believe this roller.
I'm not trying to ruin your fun.
I think that these 3 guards stumble in, catching themselves. You hear them go, "Oh, where's the boss?" But their eyes are watering. They go over to, like, there's a sink there, and they're washing their eyes out, and you can easily slip past them out to get away. They don't even see you. And Kagato, I imagine that we're going to cut on the line of you finally have pushed Jewel, and he's against the wall, and the smoke clears enough that he sees your face? Question mark. Uh, does that feel like a good? We'll come back to that.
Yeah, let's pause on that frame.
Okay.
That's cool.
Remy, Lee, you are at the door in the inner sanctum of the Chancellor's chambers. That mask is getting a little itchy now.
Yeah, I think he's scratched at it a couple of times. Um, no chance that the door's just gonna open.
It kind of check it. Is
I'm
that
gonna
what you do?
push. I'm
Okay.
gonna push at it.
It does not yield to your hand.
All right. Is there like an obvious lock mechanism of some kind?
Yes, but I think you only see it because you all can see magical stuff. I think you will see the magical lock that is hovering there above the regular lock.
Okay. Let me consider my options here. I think that the the curriculum of the architectural faculty doesn't assume that the student has a magical any sort of magical capability. Um, but that kind of capability is factored into many of the designs, right? There's an assumption that you're going to be able to use it even if it's not yours personally.
Mhm.
And so this is the kind of thing that Lee has read about that he understands is like theoretically possible, but up until recently had just never been able to like interact with it in the physical world. Um, he's like looking around at the chamber that they're in.
Let me ask you a
Um,
question, my fine spider friend. Had you prepared for something like this?
um, yes, in fact, I had.
Okay. Would you like to describe a flashback for me then?
I think I would. I think I would like to do that. I think I would like to flash back to meeting with Obedia Thunders
Okay.
and looking at the blueprints of the Collegium.
Hmm.
And this is an old set of blueprints and one that has had to be kind of cobbled together through like many overlaid schema. So he knows like the dimensions of this chamber. He knows within a reasonable guess the material that this chamber is made out of, based on the assumption that it is part of this, old part of the city. And so he knows about what would need to be done to generate a standing acoustic wave in this space of a particular frequency. The key that is needed for this lock is not a physical one, it's literally a musical key.
Okay. Um, so I think to have this, I think this is something you knew was coming. So a Mark One stress, but I do think this is a consort role to make sure that she gave you the right information.
Okay. She would love she would love for me to be embarrassed here. Um, okay, I'm going to roll with consort. It's 2 dice. And I have a tenuous relationship enough with Obedia that I think I'm just going to stay with the two.
Okay.
Um, that's a 4.
So I think that you can activate this. You have prepared for this, but I think it is significantly louder than you thought it would be.
Yeah.
So unless you'd like to resist the consequence, I'm going to take alert to 3 out of 4.
No, please. He has. You can tell me if I need to if I need to declare an item for this, but he has basically a tuning fork. He has a kind of like a resonating metal bar, and he strikes it in the chamber, and it does linger. The sound does linger for quite a while, but not as strongly or for as long as he would need. And he's going to turn to his coiner friend, and there's this look of like resignation on his face. I don't actually know what Jewel looks like, but I imagine it's funny to see Jewel looking resigned. Um, you remember how I said we were going to go loud?
We were
I I need your help. We need to go really loud.
just that grin again.
So is there a way that Remy can like amplify uh
Absolutely.
this sound?
Yeah. Yeah. Just take that one tone and just create his own illusion of it. And an illusion of a sound is basically a sound.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it will vibrate through these halls. It will echo out from the inner sanctum. It raises the alert level. But as the two of you do that, those doors will come open, and it is the most posh, luxe, beautiful office. It is well appointed with brilliant, uh, uh, you know, uh, golden devices, magical tools, uh, records uh, in various places. There's a big, beautiful crystal bowl filled with chocolate on the desk. There's plush, cushioned, everything is that full Drylander, absolutely ostentatious kind of presentation. The desk is big and raised a little bit. The chairs are a little bit lower down. Uh, Paintings on the walls. It is it is every bit of the decadence that you despise, Remy. So, Remy, what do you
And it's
do?
all real. That's the worst part. None of this is illusion.
Nope, all real.
Okay,
So, Remy,
still
what do we see you
maintaining
doing now that
focus,
that
but
that that Lee has gotten the doors open?
um and I think he is still on task enough to look for where's this safe, where's this, but snags on the chocolate and does divert and just dump the bowl of it into a pocket, into a
Okay,
pouch or something.
absolutely.
Um, and is the safe visible here?
I think that you can see the outlines of the layers of wards on the safe. That's what gives it away to you. And you'll go over, and you can see that the wards on the safe are writhing, like there are things held there, uh, like again, that sort of snake motif, sinuously moving inside the wards, and then there is a safe on the inside of that. What do you
Lee is like
do?
kneeling in front of the safe, and he's kind of figuring out how to best try to touch it, like how to best approach, like as though you might do with something that was very hot.
Yeah, yeah. Um, kind of a hold up. Um,
Lee, we should please mark a point of stress.
For coming
Ooh,
in contact with
ooh,
the
ooh.
thing.
Boy, that mask is starting to get a little warm.
Yeah,
And
I
actually, when you
will.
got close to the safe, it got warm like that.
I will.
Remy?
I think what Remy is going to try to do, and this is all instinct, this makes no sense. He's going to try to talk to the the wards, talk to the snakes there, communicate with them. Why do you serve the powers that bind you? Do you not want to be free? Do you not want to be your own thing? And wants to try to persuade them to go away, essentially.
So I think this is a tune. I think
Mm-hmm.
that this is a tune, uh, desperate, minor effect. You may change that position and or effect by particular items if you want to mark gear. So tell me how you would do that.
Yep. I think he does have his black mirror that essentially functions like a spirit mask.
Mhm.
Definitely has that, brings that out now. And is kind of holding it between him and the bard, so they're both reflected in it. Um,
So that will get us to a kind of standard effect there using that item. So desperate,
mhm,
standard effect, rolling with the tune.
yep.
I can assist here
Yeah.
Okay.
if you would like.
Describe to me how
Yeah.
you assist in this. I know you have the talent for it and you're not marking stress, but how are you assisting?
Yeah, I think, like I said, I'm still kind of like kneeling and trying to figure it out. And I'm also, I'm distracted by the sensation of the mask, but I'm like muttering as Remy is talking, like, you can't just tell them about the problem. You have to give them a way out. I'm like coaching
Yeah.
you in
Yeah.
negotiation,
Yeah.
basically.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Giving Remy cues to pick up on, and so he's changing the direction of, strike at your own bonds, strike at the ones that bind you, break your way free, and just refining this approach over and over. All right. Go. The 4.
So I think that it will say, oh, yes, we want to be free. We are so hungry. We are so, so hungry. We will make this bargain with you. We will not harm you. Give us the blood of that one, kind of pointing to uh, Lee, and let us out here in this place. There's so many things for us to feed on here. You can let us out.
Think he will counter that with so many things here trying to be free, so many things preventing you from being free. And I think he will show them an image of whatever it is that the high faculty wear, the people in charge would wear.
Mm-hmm.
These ones you can hunt.
Okay, so I'm going to say that's a consequence resist.
Yep. And so that would be
I think that's resolve.
resolve. Yeah. Okay, 2 to resist that. Fours
So,
again.
so two to stress.
All right.
All right, let us out. Give us that one. And again, pointing at Lee, and we'll just hunt those, the ones you marked out.
He doesn't have this.
Oh, no, 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 no. We need that blood, or we cannot let you in.
He's gonna look up at Remy, and the sensation of the mask is like almost too much for him to be able to concentrate now, but
Mhm.
he's gonna not.
Yeah. As soon as you see that nod, don't hesitate. All right. Done.
And they break out, and they are much bigger when they come into this universe, and they will go and it's the Leopards Eating Faces Club, and they go right at Lee. And Lee, I'm going to give you a level 2 harm for face flesh stripping as they eat the mask from your face. You may resist that if you wish. You have some things, or even armor
I
would be effective here.
I would like to resist.
Okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
I would like to do that.
uh,
Um,
Resolve?
I think it probably makes sense as resolve because the what he's gonna do doesn't actually require that much. Like, it's just about being able to focus through the feeling of the mask, which is that he's going to, well, I'm going to roll.
Okay. 3d6.
Yeah, rolling 3 dice.
You
I did
take no stress.
I did roll a 6, but what I am going to do is I'm going to tear the mask from my face. I'm like, just I can't stand it anymore. I'm tearing it off, and I throw it away
Okay.
onto like there's like a shag rug or something like
Oh
this.
yeah, and these things like giant spectral moray eels will bite and feed at the very blood of the throne family that is in there, and then they will go out hunting for more with people with marks, and hopefully they don't run into anybody with the throne blood while they're out there as they go out. But you can mark a level 1 harm then for essentially like uh, uh, cuts and bruises, maybe something like that,
Yeah.
or
Well, there was a way to remove this properly, I think, but he didn't. He didn't take the time. So
absolutely.
he probably has like parts of his face that have just like come away. Um,
Ugh, nice. So that's going on. I'm going to cut back. Kagato, you've got Jewel pressed against this wall. Uh, you see him go, uh, uh, Kokito, right? Kokito.
I growl, what did you do with Eudora?
What are you talking about? I don't understand what it is that you are speaking to, sir.
I know you killed him. I know you killed Dad.
You are gravely mistaken. And then you see him pause because you said dad,
Hmm.
and he did not yet know that you knew about the blood relation. And he says, "Good brother Kagato, uh, you have as much wish for our brother Eudora to be dead as I do, and I did. After all, he's the one who put you in the crosshairs of all of these things. So I merely took out someone who, had they known you were still alive, would have killed you and would have come for me. Father, I had nothing to do with his death. Not a thing. His death is the worst possible outcome, brother. There were people who would have supported me stepping in to take the position of apprentice to our father, and that magic would have passed to me. But his death made that not possible. Now, perhaps you could take your very brawny hand away from my throat and lower whatever strange weapon it is that you have in your other hand.
What proof do you have that Eudora set me up?
Okay, let's see what's wrong here. Ah, there was an intermediary that assisted, that got things into position, that was also caught in things. If you trace back the orders and so on, uh, uh, and speak with the new master architect, Agus, and he was involved with it. His assistant, who I believe you know, Lee Bencourt, he can untangle the traces of orders and things back.
August.
Yes.
And his contact, Lee.
His pawn, Lee. Your our brother was more than willing to make a deal with the with August to clear the decks, as it were.
Um, because we're out of character, because we're probably short on time here, and I have probably more I want to say. Can I try to like put this guy to sleep or something with some kind of alchemical thing out of my other bandolier?
Oh, absolutely. I think that will be uh, a role to do that. Um, I think it's probably finesse.
Okay,
That seem reasonable?
that's good for me. One die I'll push to get that up to two. That should take me to six. Yep, six stress, two dice.
Yep.
Here we go. Snake eyes. There she
Snake
is.
eyes.
There it is.
I think he's in there in your hands, and you kind of move to uh like shift things. And that's the point at which you realize he has put a knife in your side. Take a level 2 harm, and he's crying out for the guards. So I'm going to raise the alert level by 1. You may resist one or both of those consequences. Don't forget, armor can absorb consequences.
You're right. I'll spend armor to
Okay.
absorb. Can the armor only absorb the stab?
Uh, Technically, yeah, for that.
Okay, that's fine. I've got the armor.
Okay.
Just anyway, so I'll spend it here.
Yeah.
Um,
Tries to gut stab you to break out. And then you want to resist the other consequence?
that would be what would it be? A D6 minus
I think that'd be a prowess roll for you, sir.
prowess. I'm good at prowess though,
Yes, you are.
so I'll resist it. We'll give it a shot and hope I
Okay.
don't roll something bad. So we'll roll three dice.
Mark two
Oof.
stress.
Okay, I'm almost maxed out.
Oh, delicious. Um, so I think at that point, Svetlana, you will kind of come through the smoke, uh, having escaped those guys. You will see Kagato kind of wrestling with this guy now. Kagato has, as his guy goes to cry out, Kagato has put a hand over his mouth, kind of pushed him down, and this guy is, stabbing at Kagato. They're wrestling against the wall. What do you do?
I think I think Svetlana has one of her unusual weapons on her, and it's basically like a cattle prod.
Okay,
It's a baton, but it's like, this is an industrial strength one.
okay,
And so they're wrestling, and I imagine I walk up. I'm just like, I emerge from the smoke, and I'm looking at I, th I you know Jewel's back because they're like in conf struggle. They're going back and forth, or maybe his side, whatever. And she just goes, "Huh." Bzz.
skirmish.
Yes, not my best, but I get a big one on that one.
Okay,
Do I get any bonus for I can spend stress, I
yeah.
know, for using an item?
So that essentially that allows you the fictional positioning to do this.
Okay.
Um, you can spend stress. Uh,
Two? Is that how many? To add
Two
a
for
die?
yourself. Yeah.
All right. Oops, wrong way. 4, 6. Okay. I'm doing just fine, thank you. All right, so that'll be 2 dice I get to do.
Yes.
Is there anything else I can do? I accidentally closed my dice roller. All right, I will reopen. Apologies. Do I want to spend anything else? Nah, I'll just resist effects if I roll bad. What could go
Absolutely.
wrong? A 4.
Two fours. I think you will zap him.
Hmm.
But there is a bit where, like, as you come up, he kind of sees you out of the corner of the eye, and he sees that a wand coming at him, and he realizes what's going on, and he will like do this, and you see him kind of like he clearly got maybe a razor or something on a ring, and he cuts his hand and he sprays hot burning blood in your face for a level 2 harm.
Hmm.
You may resist that or mark armor.
I'm gonna mark armor,
Okay.
which takes me to 5 slots. Does that make me conspicuous?
You are conspicuous. You were
All right.
conspicuous before, so
Yeah, okay.
and I think there's this as he slides to the ground, and I think that's the point at which you hear to sync up our times, the boom of the gong from the inner sanctum.
Yeah.
Uh, let's take 5 and let's come back to the third act of this particular heist, shall we? Okay.
Mm.
There's the safe. The safe is the wards are gone. Uh, I imagine that the sort of mechanical side of opening the safe is child's play at this time for you two. Um, and you can open it up, and there are a variety of treasures in there, and papers, and documents, and a binder that you were given a description of that is wax sealed. It's been opened and clearly read, but it has been placed back in here. And it is done in a black leather cover with sigils and things, that seem to indicate, top secret, eyes only, important, uh, uh, you know, marks of the overlord and the way wardens and the chancellor on it. There are also some family pictures in there, it looks like. What do you two do, Remy, Lee?
I'll start scooping out anything I can grab in there.
Okay, just gonna grab
Um,
everything.
grab everything, the important thing, hand off to Lee because he's obviously the more responsible one here. Um, but Remy's gonna grab any shinies, anything that might be interesting later.
Absolutely. You stuff your bag, you can empty this safe. And then what do you do?
I'm getting close to capping out on my stress. So I'd like to ask, maybe maybe this isn't something I can know in advance. Um, I would like to have prepared a a dummy, basically.
I was going to propose putting one of the explosives in here. Actually, I don't think I was going to propose it. I think I was going to do it.
Hmm.
That would certainly cover that.
Can we've got this ledger. That's the thing that we're after, right?
Yeah.
The black bound
Mhm.
thing, sigils and stuff. Can we make a bomb that looks like a book?
That'd be a
Would
flashback.
that require a flashback? And if
Yes.
so, how much stress would it take?
I think you knew what was coming. But I do think it's a little more involved. But you have a couple of like Tinkers and Cogito, so I think a point of stress to do that.
Okay. Yeah, Lee has like finally been able to like take off this mask and he has immediately put the respirator on and is like breathing deeply and is sort of weakly like leaning on the safe for support. But in his you know, in his jacket, he produces this this something that looks enough like the ledger based on similar documents that we were able to kind of like get an idea of from Miss Thunders that uh, somebody might pick it up, to and not realize what it was until they had it in their hands. So I'll take that stress. I am
Okay.
I'm one away from crashing out right now.
Okay.
And then maybe we'll add to that the asset that you gained last session, that when this does blow up will leave traces that look like it was from some ancient artifact.
Okay. Uh, I'm going to have to make this easy. I think I want this to be a finesse roll for you to get this set up, to get it set, to get it covered, to get it all prepared the way you want it to, Remy. Does that seem reasonable?
Yep, that makes sense.
Okay. Do you want to assist Lee?
I can't assist right now without spending stress.
Well, you
I
can. You'll
can.
just get a trauma.
Yeah.
You can join the club, or I can do a push instead.
I would rather wait because I also have an ability that lets me protect a teammate.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
so I'm gonna wait until something does happen.
Okay. So spend 2 stress, Remy, and roll 3 dice.
All right. Roll the dice first and then add the stress. Double sixes.
What the absolute what? Oh, yeah.
He's good at
This
what he
is going to
does.
cover it. There's going to be no question. You've got the additional things. You found some other things in the office that you can put in there to kind of cover the other things. So even if someone had looked at this, knew the safe, the contents, they would not be able to tell. And you put enough sort of magical illusion misdirection that any kind of scrying later on will also not be able to read this. And you two get that set and you can start moving, which you need to. Uh, I'm going to cut back to Kagito, Svetlana. That sound indicates that they are very close to finishing up. But you've also got this body.
Cogito, who, what, why?
We don't have a lot of time, but we need to take him with me. He's family.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't see the resemblance, but okay. Do I feel anything does the part of me that's this person's father stir inside me or anything, you
Ooh, good
think?
question.
And I don't know what the relationship was. Did the father hate him? In which case, I'd be like, oh, yeah.
I think that you will realize that he, like you, has a piece of his father in him.
Oh, yeah, we should bring him. You're right. I think this could be, yeah, for sure. Here, you get the ankles and I'll get the wrists.
So now it's a question of you getting out of here, right?
Hmm.
Okay. Tell me what your method of egress, of exit, looks like, and why it's really easy given that you're carrying a body with you.
So, do you have an idea, David? I have one, but
Go ahead, yeah.
s-
And if I need a fireman carry this guy, I
Okay.
can treat it that way if we need one or both of us to be open to doing stuff with their hands.
so I was imagining that we do have like a general layout of this place,
Yeah.
right?
Provided
And
by Lee. Yeah.
right, and so we planted bombs away from the central area with the uh inner sanctum so that it would distract and pull people away from that area. And those are about to go off because it's time.
Right.
And so I think we planted them in such a way that we would be near the commissary or the cafeteria when suits class is in session. This is where students come to eat. Class isn't in session right now, so it's closed. But there's a trash chute in the back for high volume of organic waste. All those food leftovers. So we are going to carry that body into the kitchen and we are going to dump it down the trash chute and follow it into the compost pile uh, and find our way out through our, if you will, I believe it is our underground maps and pass
Okay.
keys that we have from our crew.
I would like someone to spend a stress for the preparation of the trash chute as a flashback to you guys calculating that out.
I
Uh,
can.
yeah, we're both pretty b bad off, but
But
you
you're
better
worse
off.
off. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'll spend that. I have two empty spots left. So I've spent it
Okay.
to be like trash chute. Yes. Oh God. Okay, we can do this. Almost there.
And
Whew.
then I just need a prowl roll to get past the guards. Uh,
Leech.
Now I can do prowl pretty well.
yeah.
Thank you,
So
Cogito.
this is, am I rolling just for myself or is this also for Svetlana?
We'll say that we're covering both of you with this roll here.
Okay. I can't push myself. I mean, not really.
Yeah.
So just two dice
I think
flat.
because you're carrying your brother, and so on, I think this is desperate standard effect.
And
So
how
That's
many could I
very
do?
fair.
Is it too stressed for me to help or just
no,
one?
only one.
Well, then I'll help and bring my stress
Yeah,
up
you're
to the
losing money
limit
not
as
doing
well.
that. Absolutely.
Here
And
we
if
go.
it's desperate, that's an XP. Is there any other thing else that I need to do?
No, just if it goes wrong, it goes really wrong.
Yes, really, really wrong. Okay. Sounds good.
3 dice.
All right. Three dice. One, two, three. Here we go. Six.
Past the snakes, past the invisible guards, sneak down to into the kitchen, cross the commissary, find that garbage chute somewhere down below. There's the shadows sawing a hole to get the extra thing, and then body down, and then slide down. Remy, Lee, what does your exit look like?
I have to imagine that I'm like leaning on Remy at this point. Uh,
Up to a point.
yeah.
Up until we are at whatever exit is going to diverge, and then Remy's going to point you in that direction and head for where the students are.
Okay. And at this point, I think he is going to, take you by the shoulders, and he's going to say, "You're going to be amazing."
I don't think he has words for that. I think you get a little puzzled look and almost the face breaking down in sadness, and then it goes right back behind the poker face and
Let them.
clap you on the shoulder and turn to go.
Let me ask you this, Lee. What is your exit? Like, are you going for the garbage chute as well, or are you going to try and blend in with the crowd and escape that way? What do you think that is?
The explosives that have been set up
Yes,
here,
they are going to go off soon.
would you say they're going to go off imminently?
I like imminently. Yes, let's use that word.
Okay. I think it would be a lot easier for me to get out of here if those had already gone off and there was a kind of chaos. Um, Lee's face is already injured.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how difficult it would be to pass that off as like burns or some other different, if I was to wait until the
I,
bomb.
I I think that's a perfect thing. So I'm going to put a pin in you right this second as you're kind of waiting there. Uh, Remy,
He's got his watch, he's like timing
right.
it down in a second.
Remy, you will go out. The bombs are set to go off imminently. What do you want to
I
do?
think Remy's going to find himself a little nook where he won't be seen that is close to wherever the main body of the students are. And he's going to do a few things. He's going to first imitate whatever alarm this place would have for a containment breach, magical breach,
You don't
equivalent of a fire
necessarily need
alarm.
to do that because the screams are doing that for you now, because you will hear the screams of people from out and amongst the crowd as these spirit parasite guards start devouring their faces,
Yep.
and people start screaming. And then the actual containment breach alarm goes off,
Yes.
uh,
And
and you're ticks away from the bombs going off.
yep.
What do you
Um,
do?
I I think just before the bombs start to go off, Rami will set off explosions in here that are in that direction, and he is going to make it so that the ceiling appears to be coming down, like that cinematic, you know, escape from the dungeon or whatever, where you have just the dust clouds and the chunks of stone coming down, and it's marching in this direction. He's trying to herd everyone out the exits, but he is staying put until he can see that they're going.
Okay. So, uh, you want this to affect multiple senses and cover an area?
Mhm.
That's for stress.
That is for stress.
Uh, and let's have you roll a tune. It is going to happen, but this is kind of a degrees thing I want to see here.
Yep, yep,
And then we'll talk about what trauma you're going to take.
yep. Still using the mirror. Um, yeah, I'll call it a push too. This is Remy's all in
Okay?
everything. Two more stress on top of that.
Absolutely.
Four.
Four. So I imagine that this is absolute chaos here. The bombs go off at the same time as you are doing your explosion, and you are driving people out of here. And I think that, you will hold off to the last minute to make sure that the students are out, but eventually you have to get out of here as that chaos emerges. There's smoke, fire. You're having a hard time telling the difference now between the illusionary fire and the real fire, and so on, and dust
Mhm.
and everything. Uh, what trauma is this going to create for you?
Remy is going to be obsessed, continue to be obsessed.
Okay. So you may take obsessed. Uh, you do clear two of that stress. So you're just up at two stress rather than four, because we hit that point. Um, uh, and Lee, explosions, chaos, people running, screams. Now there are guards coming, and you want to convince them that you had nothing to do with this, right? You're muted.
He does lose a moment or two. I think we can see like the explosions reflected in his eyeglasses. Um, for somebody who loves a work of art.
This whole building is beautiful. It is generations of architects and architecture, musical storage, everything, and it is going up.
I think, that's true, but this is also a concerto of destruction. Um, so he loses a moment just like appreciating the grandeur of what Remy has done. Uh, and then yeah, he's going to sort of cough and stumble out of the cloud of dust. He's covered in soot and things. Um, holding his face.
Let's have you mark sway, roll sway rather.
I am going to roll sway, yes. Uh, which I only have one
You only have one die in.
one die, so I'm just gonna try it straight up and see how it goes. I'm going right up to the guard with like my hand out, like reaching to for support. And I rolled a 1.
And I think that as you are stumbling out there, I think uh, you will feel something something hit you hard magically, and you're going to take a level 2 harm as the first consequence, and the second consequence is the hand that falls on your shoulder, and you kind of look back, and you will see August there, and he is looking at you, and he's like, "You son of a bitch." Which of those do you want to resist?
I want him to know it was me.
Okay, but you want to resist the harm?
Um,
You will get a +1 die to the resistance to it.
yeah. Yeah, I do. I
Okay,
do.
so
Maybe,
why don't you resist
maybe with the skill
with
I've developed.
prowess,
Okay.
three
Prowess, that's not
dice.
bad. 3 dice. Let's see how bad this goes for me.
Oh, you're gonna walk away.
Huh?
Tell me what happens. Like, how is it that, I mean, he sees you, he knows you, that's the other consequence. But you avoid the magic attack. How is it that you get out of here? What do we see on screen?
Uh, yeah, I imagine he takes the sort of like whatever it is, the magical force in his shoulder, spins around to see August standing there. And now Lee is standing with his back to, there was a wall here a moment ago,
Hmm.
but now there's just like, a cliff basically overlooking the the crevasse, the sort of ravine where the school's wall opened up to this sort of, it's a very high up building. It's
Right.
open to the sky. Um, and he has blood running down his face. I think he has blood in his mouth. Um, and he's just like grinning wildly at August. Um, and he says, um, I learned from the best. And he just falls backwards off of the thing. Can't do anything but fall at this
Right.
point. And the shadows piloting the flying ship are there to sort of scoop him up.
I imagine that you fall off, there's that thing, and you see him look, and then of course we see the ship will go up past in that cut through. He's waving his fist, he's directing people to shoot at you, but there's so much chaos and things going on that it is just swallowed in the dust and dirt and falling debris and smoke and chaos and all of that. And that is where we're stopping. We're going to start next time with XP and all of the fallout and all of that stuff from this session. And then we'll kind of have a chance to do some scenes and kind of wrap up our character stories next time, if that seems fair with folks. That seems good. Um, with Kagato, I think we do see you carrying your brother, and we see Svetlana. There's probably the ferryman moving you through the sewers. Remy, we see you flickering in through the crowds, making sure everybody's gotten out okay. And then when you're certain, you're gone. And I imagine that we see as the ship goes off. You just kind of laying down on top of the dirigible there, Lee. Um, so that's what we're going to do. We'll do all that XP and stuff next time, but I do want to do a quick stars and wishes to wrap this session. Stars being anything you dug, and wishes being like what if there's a scene in particular, things you want to set up to play out next time. Uh, let's start with Remy. Was it what you hoped for?
That absolutely was. That was the scene I wanted, with the ceiling coming down and just driving everybody out of there.
Anything else, stars and wishes?
Um, Yeah, I really loved how everybody came together on this. It kind of was the best Blades in the Dark fashion, where we had a very basic plan going in and people kept building on it. And our different talents kind of came together with the explosions and the prowls and the back halls and the um talking us past the first few and then the magic coming into play. I loved how it all came together. I love the snaky words, that the whole snake theme. Um, Very fitting.
Awesome.
I'm just gonna gush, so I'll stop
Okay.
gushing. But
No, that's fair. Uh, Gwen.
Um, yeah, wonderful session. Very cinematic, probably the most cinematic we've had. This was absolutely, I don't know, mucky steampunk Mission Impossible, which I loved. What I would really loved is the fact that we really saw both Cogito and Lee get like real character payoff, and the way that you handled the interaction with your brother, David, or Cogito did, and Lee or Ian, the way you dealt with August, that like turnaround, I wanted to know it was me thing, that was, and just, it did feel like a kind of like pinnacle in a way of the maestro's conducting, And I think that it's like we now see a chance for Cogito to get answers and or closure on his issues. And, so I really appreciated the way that Lowell, you set that up and the way that you, David and Ian, kind of just really went with it and did it in such a narratively satisfying way. That was really wonderful. I also, I always love Remy's chaos. And I think it was on great display today. I think for wishes, what I'd like to see is I'd like to see Svetlana, because I've been kind of playing her not my deepest character I've ever played, and it's fine. I don't, there's a lot of character work going on in this game, and I've more just been enjoying being a bit of a nerdy techno destroyer. I don't know. A wrench is my character nickname. So, throwing wrenches into things. And I'd like to see her, I don't know, do something with this soul fragment she has. Either, I mean, I don't know what it can look like. It could be betrays the gang because the soul fragment takes influences me. It could be takes control of it and becomes more powerful. It could be form some weird bond with Jewel because we both carry fragments of the soul. Just something that feels, I don't know, goes off and has a happily ever after with Obedia Thunders.
Yep.
Whatever. I just want her to have something that feels yeah, like a payoff of sorts.
Yeah.
I might not have been really earning it quite as much as Kogito and Lee have been, but I'd like to see something like that in the last session.
Okay. I think that seems more than reasonable. Kokito.
As far as starters go, I'd like to thank the dice.
Yeah, what the what?
Yeah, Gwen and I, we couldn't have done it without you. Thank
Yeah,
you to
no
the dice.
kidding.
Other than that, though, I had a really good time. I thought it was a really neat idea, and this is kind of a star for everybody to have a split into two separate groups with two separate engagement roles. I thought that was a cool twist, kind of like in the past how we had a mission Lowell where we started off doing an engagement role, and then we had to go
Second mission.
do a rescue. And so, okay, here comes engagement role number two. I like the little twists that we're doing on those missions. That's neat, and I'll bear that in mind for if I run Fortune in the Dark stuff in the future, which I hope to do. Other than that, though, as far as wishes go, I need to figure out what the heck I'm gonna do
Yeah.
with Jewel because like I've got him captive. I can do kind of whatever I want with him. And he's basically said, "Hey, it wasn't me, it was Eudora. So like you can't take this out on me. I was doing you a favor, and now I am in this place where I don't know what to do with the guy."
Did
did
try and
bite.
stab you. There is that too.
That is true. I mean, I don't know. How much can I really blame a guy for self? I mean, I mean, he was gonna get abducted. I mean, he knew what was going. I don't know. So
You
I
didn't
guess the question
not
is
have
like, what do
any.
I do when you have a guy who's a captive? I mean, it's not really in my moral code to kill a captive guy, but then what the heck do you do with him? I need to figure that out. So that's, I guess, I don't know that there's a wish there other than maybe a personal one where I just need to think on this, but that's
Sure.
kind of what I'm thinking.
All right, we'll definitely leave that open for the directions you want to take that. And Lee.
Something that I've learned about playing tabletop games, especially with the Open Hearth, where it's never more than 12 sessions, is that there are so many little on like a video game mini map, there are like the little areas where it's like, oh, you clearly haven't explored here. The path just kind of goes off into um, obscurity. And I love a game that ends with a lot of those because my imagination can kind of just like fill them in. Um, but one thing I would really like to see is, yeah, some closure between, I don't know about closure, but catharsis for Kagito. That seems like a big one.
Yeah.
Um, it's beyond the scope of what we're doing here, like one session, but if there was going to be another game set in this setting, I would really like to see what's in that ledger and like how it
Oh yeah. Well, that will be something we will discuss next time
yeah,
because I assume you are going to look at it before you hand it over. Can you resist that?
we'll find out.
Yeah, okay.
I don't have the stress to resist anything right now.
But you will have some downtime action, so
Yeah, I think as far as stars go, I really liked the timing of the bombs, like the way that I I I did like being in two separate groups, but that always poses the challenge of like syncing up the the dismount for both of them, and I thought that was handled really well this time. Um, it was really fun to just like go for broke.
mm,
That ruled.
absolutely.
I'm a little disappointed we didn't get to see the shusher in action.
Sure, sure.
Oh yeah.
Right.
So many other things came into play, though. I think it's more
I
reasonable.
forgot about the shusher.
That's a deleted scene.
Yes.
Yeah, that's an expanded edition.
Yeah, on the director's cut. I had a great time running this. I just want to say I appreciate you all going with the kind of like me flipping back and forth. It felt good. We got a lot of crazy, goofy things done, and that's the kind of stuff I love. Is when you can play kind of over the top with this. I think there's a place for a certain kind of Blades in the Dark that is very grounded and oh my dagger stabbed you and oh it's kind of dirty so maybe it's infected kind of like that kind of real street level stuff. But this is the kind of bullshit I love. Like I want my stuff big, widescreen. I want psychedelic explosions and all of that kind of stuff. So uh, awesome. I am going to stop the recording.